So this is my Trans-Catalina jump off. I took the ferry from Dana Point to Avalon on September 17th. I got here about 11. I had a big breakfast at Jack's and got some supplies next door at Chet's Hardware. Because of the marine layer and added precipitation, as much as I hate plastic, I picked up some garbage bags to put my belongings in, as my intent will inevitably be soaked tomorrow morning. I got to the campsite about 1. Ranger Regina was here, who greeted me with her 8-month-old rescue dog, Jake. She directed me to my campsite and talked with me for about an hour about my trip, what to expect, the campsites I would be staying at coming up, and how to stay safe around one particular bison at Little Harbor. She even gave me tent stakes, which I forgot them. The showers are 50 cents, and if you wait a second, they get nice and hot. There's a change machine here that has 1 $5 or $10. You store your food in the Fox boxes, and there is an electric charging port every 10 yards or so to recharge your battery packs. It was really quiet, maybe only 3 campsites filled in all of Hermit Gulch. That being said, I could hear the ground squirrels around me, and maybe fox? Some sounded bigger. Note to keep your good food in the Fox boxes. There is Wi-Fi here, though no cellular for T-Mobile. That was nice to stay in touch with family before I set out for my hike, and no reception tomorrow morning. Once I set up, I hiked about a mile up the TCT to do a quick geocache and see what I was in for. If you don't geocache but you're a hiker or backpacker, you're missing out, and I took an awesome picture of the harbor. The ranger station is only open intermittently during the week, so if you forget cache, as I did to make change for laundry, you'll be walking the mile back into town to the Vons. They don't have any camping stuff though, so make sure if you need something you stop by Chet's before they close, which was 3 on Sundays. Now I was cleaned, fed, got some salad from Vaughn's, and getting ready for sleep to begin the grand hike tomorrow. Day 1, I was up at about 4:45 to do my meditation, stretching exercises, and hygiene. I wanted to hit the trail at first sight. I made it to 6:30 and was happyish with the timing since I had to ensure my wet tent was separated from my dry things. YouTube hack with the garbage bag helped a lot. Put all your dry stuff in the garbage bag and then put your wet tent on top of that. But no sooner had I set off down the trail before I realized I'd forgotten my food in the Fox box and had to turn around to get it, and then unpack all of my stuff to put it in securely. I'm wearing a bell so as not to startle any animals, and I've also got my bear spray with me, which is supposed to be effective for coyotes and maybe bison too. I hope I don't have to use it. The climb out of Hermit Gulch was exactly as you expected. Lots of elevation, but I made it to the top in less than an hour, so I was proud. Had some really nice sights along the way. I was concerned about bison at every corner, and I started to become hypervigilant where anything I saw I thought was a bison. Author's note, there are lots of brown bushes that look like bison on the island. I've also seen a bison at the hay press the last time I was here, but alas, I didn't see anything, and I took my first break of the day. Everything from hay press on became a bit of a challenge. I saw a buffalo walking a little bit ahead of me over the ridge, and I became so worried about its whereabouts that I almost missed the turn off the road after hay press to get into the canyon. Of course, I wish I had missed getting into the canyon. Truthfully, that was probably the hardest part of the hike, not the elevation gain out of Blackjack. The constant up and down as you looked toward the antennae, knowing that Blackjack Campground was right underneath it. Every time you went down, you thought, oh God, no, because I need to get up there, and so I'm going to be up again. I was gauging the bison poo to determine how fresh it was and deduce how close one possibly could be to me. I was looking at the grass which has been laid down and wondering if they were there just a moment ago laying down themselves. Luckily, the weather held out for me, and it was warm but not so horribly hot that I needed to use my sunbrella. Finally, I got to the 9-mile mark, and sure enough, an entire herd of buffalo is waiting for me at Skull Ridge. That being my first time on Catalina, I didn't know if I would have to go over that hill or not, and thankfully I didn't. But I did have to walk towards the reservoir, which it's where the bison like to walk to as well, and that's the direction they were going. It was a matter of time trying to get there and towards Blackjack before they met me on the trail. Finally, I hit mile 10 and I knew Blackjack was within a mile from me. I saw it gloriously in the distance and it seemed so close, and yet that last mile took forever. I ended up at the campsite and the only one here it seems. I got campsite 3, but if you have a chance, get campsite 5 through 9. I suppose I could have moved, but being military, I'm very much one of those rules girls. So I just set up my little camp number 3 in between the concrete well and the picnic table. It was 12:05, 5 hours since Hermit Gulch, feeling great. I walked around to see if there were easy area for bison or other things to come up from behind me, and there was not, thank God. There's an old car behind my site that looks like it's from the 50s. Not sure how it got here or what the story was as it lies in the gully behind. I saw what looked like baby wipes and just shook my head at how terrible humans are. I checked out some old wells and one that looks like an old horse watering hole. So I went back to my campsite, and after putting my tent out to dry before setting up, decided I'd do some geocaching. For safety, I put my tent right in between that picnic table and what I thought was a well, but I think was a concrete fire pit that has been concreted over. I really like being nestled in. Sure enough, the GPS bounced around because there's no reception up here and no outlet, so bring your power banks. Oh, and there's no shower. And there was no potable water, but they did leave you bottles of water. The baby wipes I saw earlier was actually a geocache. There's a funny story in it, which I read before placing my own treasure, doubloons of course, because I'm one salty mermaid, a true descendant of pirates. Now at 2:43 I sit here just listening to the wind and writing this journal. I see that the bison have followed me. They are coming closer as I write this. They are on the trail, which I passed a couple hours ago. That would have been very difficult to get around to get up this campsite. 2:55. Holy shit. As I'm typing this, they're walking through my campground. They're 20 feet away. I backed up slowly like I was taught to and went behind my tent. While I was watching the pack above, they'd snuck past. The whole herd, and I'm the only one here. No reception, no ranger. I'm really glad I don't have reception because Scott would be freaking out right now. I am now really happy I don't have campsite 5. That would have been inches from them. I'm hiding behind my tent, being super quiet so I don't startle them. I pop up every once in a while to see if they're gone yet, and nope, there's so many. I can hear them grunting around me. I'm going into my tent until I hear them stop grunting. When will they leave? This is going to be tough getting to airport tomorrow. I hope they turn around and go back. To be continued. 3:44. It's been about an hour. I don't hear them. I have no idea what time this all started, but I'm going to do some minor recon. It appears they've gone through the campsite on the TCT. No sign of them here or back up on the ridge. Phew, tomorrow's hike should be interesting, aka even more panic inducing. Literally. 4:28. Hygiene, meditate, and eat while the coast is clear. Don't want the fox box to scare the bison if they make their way back this way. No ranger, no reception, no other campers. Don't want no problems. 5:01. A family just came through as I was meditating. Jeff, Letty, and their son Tobin. They are on Site 1. I warned them about the bison. They hiked from Avalon with their 8-year-old. Oh my god, he's amazing. They hadn't seen any bison yet. Let's hope they don't see them up close. I feel like Tom Hanks in the volleyball. I was so happy to see them. If you haven't seen Castaway, it's a must. Mental note. I gotta make my daughter see it. At 6:49, the marine layer rolls through. Some older hikers came walking. They're at Site 2. I let them know as well about our big guest should it happen again. Time for me to read some more of my hubby's awesome book and go to sleep. The marine layer is rolling in, and the temp just dropped 20 degrees. Glad I packed the puffer jacket and beanie. So the next day I'm up doing my meditation exercises at 5:36, getting ready to go onto the TCT, and sure enough, as I walk out of the campsite, the entire herd is waiting for me. They're blocking the way to continue on the Trans-Catalina Trail. I was thinking about continuing to try and get through them, but they were just everywhere, on every single side. So then I saw that I could make it through another roadway, this asphalt road on the way up, but I thought about the campers below, and I didn't know which way the bison were walking. So I decided to backtrack and warn all of the other campers. I turned around and then headed right back up the hill after I told them what was going on. And truck had passed me and said, "Don't try and go through the herd. Take airport in the sky." So that's what I did. It added another mile and a half to the trip because literally the bison were all over the Trans Catalina Trail. But I love Scott and Leia, and they would have been really mad if I was killed by a herd of bison, because I didn't want to take the asphalt trail but continue on the Trans Catalina onto Airport Road. Luckily, once I got to Airport in the Sky, the Swedish people were there already. They said that the ranger had come through a little while after I had left and cleared the herd from the trail, so they were able to continue on it. And the family was able to bushwhack through the trail, and we all met just about at the same time. This is the things they don't tell you about in the TCT brochures. After breakfast, we continued on to Two Harbors. I went out ahead and the family followed thereafter. This part of the journey honestly absolutely sucked from Airport in the Sky to Two Harbors. It was hot, it was exposed, and the the view of the ocean actually made you even thirstier as you watched it, and there was a glimpse of it, and you just kept thinking, "Dear God, am I there yet?" There was nothing around you. There was no place to sit. There was no shade. I had my sunbrella and I broke it out. Finally, after a long journey, I made it to Little Harbor just to meet another bison in my path. So, of course, I had to bushwhack my way around the cacti. I finally got to Little Harbor, and my very hard road up until this point was rewarded. This place is absolutely gorgeous. I wish Scott was here to see it. Amazing. This known as the Whale Tail, appropriately named. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. The hike from Little Harbor to Two Harbors was terrible also. It was straight up for 3 miles. Guess I am preparing for Parsons. Luckily, I only spotted one bison from a far distance way out in Little Harbor. I got here to Two Harbors in time to set up, met some campsite friends who prepped me for what to expect for Parsons tomorrow, including sliding down on my butt because it is so steep and the gravel is so loose. I was also able to stop by the restaurant and had some amazing fish and chips from the general store. I also got some provisions. I took time out for a swim in the ocean, which was freezing but beautiful, and my body and joints really needed some saltwater rehab. This is what I get in the absence of Epsom salt. I convinced Letty, mom of the family group, to do the Parsons Peak with me tomorrow while Jeff and Tobin take the flat and scenic route. We had good conversations with our new friends Rose and Tamara around the campfire as the mice quite literally ran around our feet. Time to hit the hay for my last hard climb tomorrow. Day 4, then final climb to Parsons. Woke up, exercised, and meditated. My physical therapist, Jay, would be super proud I'd been doing them daily. In my meditation, I had started thinking about Parsons, being a 100% disabled veteran. Yep, I'm wearing my lidocaine patches, orthotics, and knee braces. I am having to do my core exercises designed for my back daily. I have more aches and pains that can be discussed ungrossingly. But the biggest thing is I have my mind. My anxiety has kept me and the people around me safe. It is a superpower. I am disabled in body but not in mind. Truly, that is the one thing that can enable you or disable you from earning your utmost potential. Ask Stephen Hawking. Parsons, here I come. You know what? Honestly, Parsons wasn't that bad. Honestly, I found the climb out of Little Harbor to Two Harbors worse. Letty decided she wanted to take it on too, so we took off around 7:23 and made it to Parsons Campground by 12:12. It was misty and raining the entire time. I ended up having to put my rain sleeve on my pack and Letty her windbreaker. We couldn't see anything from mile 27 to 28, and we kept saying, "Are we at the summit yet? Are we at the summit yet?" It was slippery all the way down, and yes, I was sidestepping and using my weight, but it wasn't scary. There was plenty of room. There was no option for me to jump off or fall off the cliff. No sheer cliffs. When we got to the campground, we met one of the ranger service agents taking the trash out, Randy. I told him about all of the yellow jackets that we were finding, and he said that that usually happens where there's food and people not cleaning up after themselves. I had a lot of yellow jackets at my campsite as I was setting out, but they did seem to get better throughout the day, and so did the weather. Of all the places, this place and the 28, 30 miles behind it made it totally worth it. Randy told us of amethyst we could find on the beach, so Letty and I went off treasure hunting. I picked up some pretty pieces I hope to make into jewelry to remember the trip. I geocached 2 sites and was rewarded with an amazing view from one of the campgrounds. I have one blister on my left foot, which is driving me crazy, but that's it, and I'll probably lose at least one, if not three, toenails. Still worth it. They hurt less than blisters. The sun came out for us the rest of the day, and as I go to sleep with an amazing view and a flat 8 mile on the way back to the beach to the harbor tomorrow, I am happy to see my family again, having survived, endured, thrived in this wonderful place that I cannot wait to come back to with Scott. And I made it. Hubby and Sailor met me at the end in Avalon. We had amazing food at the Lobster Shack as always. We had great company and an amazing bed and bath at the Seacrest Inn. It was hard saying goodbye to Catalina the next day, but I'll definitely be back. As I looked off the stern of the boat at Catalina, at that beautiful island, and realized I had walked the entire length of it, I was so proud of myself. I remembered my friends I met fondly, and I can't wait for my next adventure.